day tonight.
April here with Radio Not Entertainment. I'm doing our segment Meet the Locals. I'm sitting here with Enemy Planes from Minneapolis. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fine.
So far so good.
Yeah, this is already going.
I just want to thank you guys for sitting down with me. How would you guys describe your music to, say, someone who's never heard it before?
The best music
That's
ever.
great.
Okay.
Enemy Planes definitely is a bit of a mixture, I think, between some rock and roll elements. There's some electronic elements. Casey enjoys the word tripnotic. You do enjoy that word.
On occasion.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, not really. I usually try to avoid that question.
Yeah, fair enough.
I usually
Carry
just
on.
say, here's a link,
Yeah.
check it out.
As long as people understand that it's very sexy.
We're on the interwebs.
It's very
It's
good.
very sexy.
What was that, David?
I said as long as people understand that the music is very sexy, that's all you need to know. It's very sexy.
Okay. So how did you guys get started as a band?
Take it away, Joe.
We were young lads.
We each practiced our instruments a ton.
Okay.
I mean like a ton. Before we even knew each other. And serendipitously, it made us each a professional craftsman in our trade. And we banded together to create music.
Alright.
You want me to fill that in a little bit?
No, I don't.
Okay,
No.
okay,
Next
yeah.
question.
So now I understand you guys are coming out with new music videos at once every 2 months?
Yes.
Explain.
Case.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much as easy as it sounds. Every 2 months, there's going to be a new music video.
Any
We started,
Yeah,
we
'cause
started
were a bunch of
January, we
lazy
started
asses that
February.
needed some motivation.
What's with this?
Yeah. Thank you, Joe, by the way. He's the best mic stand
He's
there
so
is.
great.
I like my mic stands to be handsome men, if at all possible.
He should
So-
look at you too when he's talking.
But yeah, so
It acts as a seatbelt
every 2 months.
and a mic stand, just in case.
Our next one should be coming up.
the
pretty
next one
soon
will be
here.
coming out probably in a couple weeks. We worked with the director in New York on this one, and
Okay.
there was a bit of a delay in the production.
9/11.
Yeah, not
This is a post 9/11 video.
too soon.
Way too soon.
So yeah,
We're looking forward to that one.
and we're also doing the one that will come out in July. Will be there will be a show centered around that one at Ice House, and
Okay.
it'll be for the song "Stranger Danger."
So who are some of your guys' musical influences, either personally or as a band? However you want to answer that.
My influence musically is my mom.
Cute.
That was nice, David.
Mine was too. You know what I mean?
Stole your answer, Gamble. Boom!
Yeah, I was gonna say mom, but I like a lot of older music, like from the '60s and '70s. I used to listen to probably one of the bands that influenced me the most early on was a band called King Crimson.
Okay.
They're kind of like out there, sort of prog rock stuff.
Okay.
They have this album called In the Court of the Crimson King.
Okay.
And when I first heard that, I think it was probably in like 6th grade.
Mhm.
And that's when I kind of really started to get more interested in creating music because it was different than anything I'd ever heard before.
Okay.
And then, beyond that, a lot of the other obvious choices from back then, all the way up to like, bands like The Flaming Lips or Radiohead,
Yeah.
More currently.
I come from a bit of a different musical background. I spent a lot of time growing up in like jazz and choral music and orchestral music and stuff. So a lot of the stuff I think that I pull from for my work with Enemy Planes would be some of the more experimental stuff out of the 60s and 70s.
Mm.
So Stockhausen and Cage and Parch and the really obscure off the wall stuff. So it certainly doesn't translate directly
Yeah.
into my work here, but I think it's a really fun place for me to pull from because it has influenced a lot of the way I think about different composition.
Was this what influenced us or what we like?
Your musical influences,
Musical influences. I think they're pretty similar to, Casey and I were more or less cut from the same cloth as far as both of our parents, different eras of the same, or different genres of the same era.
Mhm.
Maybe a bit more like Rolling Stones and Zeppelin, where Casey was a little bit more like Yes and Prague.
Yeah.
And I think what was cool is, we've been playing together forever. Casey and I have been playing since, school.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see those two elements come together, because it always ended up something spacey.
Okay.
And that element still is there, even though we kind of pushed more into a, you know, like a, you might call it a more rhythmic, almost dancey thing. There's always that spacey, you could call it psychedelic element,
Yeah.
and it makes it, you know, I think that's where the influences kind of, they show their colors, at least from our point
Yeah, I
of view.
can kind of hear
Yeah.
that in some of your guys'
I think it
music.
definitely
Yeah.
comes across in the vocal melodies.
Yeah.
You know, when it gets into the more kind of dreamy, like haunting sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of like to meld that together with, like what Joe was saying, something that makes you want to move. And
Yeah. Definitely gives it a different
Yeah.
sound. I mean, I noticed that listening to your guys' stuff. I'm like, I feel like I've never heard something like this
yeah,
before.
I feel like we trend too a little bit on the dark side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think that probably comes from a lot of the stuff that I grew up listening to, and
Yeah.
I love horror movies and things like that, so
Okay.
it kind of always ends up there.
So what have been some of your guys' biggest accomplishments as a band?
Probably this interview.
Probably.
Probably just the fact that we're still together, I think, is a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah.
There are
And
two
we
more.
haven't, yeah, there's 2 other members.
Can you believe that?
Yeah,
There's 2 more people.
yeah, everyone else.
We all fit in a band.
So I'd like to just fill you in real quick on the other band members. There's Sean Troth
Okay.
and there's Eric Christensen, both of which terrible musicians. Terrible. Their musical influences range from like the Sound of Music, but like the German overdub, which by the way, they do not like the whole Nazi thing. Like the German overdub is more or less just them trying to explain away the whole, you know, it changes the whole story from the German point of view. But yeah, that's how they met.
Alright.
They're both good.
Not
They
sure
were
if I'll-
both-
Yeah.
They're both the most non-Aryan people I've ever seen in my whole life. What am I?
Is that,
Discussing.
do we have any more things that we want to talk about?
Our accomplishments?
Yep, we're done here.
We're done.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
No more
You
accomplishments.
sure?
We don't
Next
have any more
question.
yeah,
accomplishments.
I think that's pretty much all we've
that
accomplished.
sums it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you guys have been included on a project with Rock the Cause, covering songs of the late Jason Molina.
Yep.
Talk more about that.
We've had a good relationship with those guys since, I don't know, probably going on, what, 3 years or more now? With another project that a few of us were involved with. Did some shows with them back in the day and just kind of have stayed in touch with them. And we did a charity event called Rock for Socks,
Okay.
where you could come to the show and donate socks, and you get in for free the first time. Then I think we upped it after that to like getting
Okay.
half price. But always partnering with them and whatever. I think it was up. No, that's not right. Up with people? That's not right. I can't remember.
People
Anyways,
serving
partnering with yeah, people serving people. That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, David. So they kind of turned us on to the whole notion of the, you know, like kind of blending those two worlds together, like being able to take what we do and also find a way to help out
Okay,
people that are less fortunate than ourselves.
that's cool.
So because of that, you know, we've stayed in touch, and they had this project, and Scott knew that we were fans of Jason Molina and
Yeah.
Songs of Haya and Magnolia Electric Co., which are 2 bands
Okay.
that he's probably more well known for, and just asked us if we wanted to be a part of it, and
Nice.
so naturally we said yes, and
Yeah.
got to pick. There at the time, I think only there had been like probably 12 to 15 bands that had already, you know, picked some of the songs, and
Yeah.
it's a double album
Okay.
because there's like bigger artists on there, like My Morning Jacket. and
Okay.
Band of Horses was going to be on it, but then ended up not happening. So
Okay.
there were a number of songs that were already taken, but fortunately, my favorite one was still available, so we got to do a song called Lioness. It's a really cool tune.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he does a lot of good stuff around the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've worked with him a little bit, but yeah.
In that whole project, it's been doing really well. They sold out internationally the first round, so they're on their like second pressing now,
That's cool.
and all the funds from that go to benefit a program called Music Cares,
Okay.
which they do a lot of things. One of the main things they do is like help musicians who can't afford healthcare, things like
Okay.
that.
That's
And then it also benefits the Molina estate, his family that he left behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have been some of your guys' favorite memories as a band?
Brooklyn Bowl with the Meat Puppets, hands down.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a
that's
great show.
good.
Yep.
We were on tour with the Meat Puppets, and we got to open up for them at Brooklyn Bowl. Brooklyn Bowl is basically, if you were to combine First Avenue, Varsity Theater, Bryant Lake Bowl, like all of the cool venues that we have here.
Yeah.
Slam them into one and put them in Brooklyn. And then you're opening for the Meat Puppets in front of way too many people than you should be playing for. It was by far the coolest show. So that's my thing.
I wasn't at that show. I wasn't in the band yet. I guess my favorite's been touring. We all love being on the road, and we all do just really silly things while we're on the road.
Well, Gamble does.
Gamble does. I never have done
Yeah.
anything strange, as far as I know. Really, we all just get along pretty well. So as far as
Lies.
I don't get along with David,
False.
but I get along with everybody else. As far as favorite memories go, it really is just, it could be like a Chipotle stop in the middle of Michigan, and we're all pretty content.
No.
So that's probably one
Oh,
of
yeah.
my favorites.
Band mom.
Yeah.
No!
There's always
Tour
the
mom.
there's a couple things. There's the Helena experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Natsuo experience. Those are
Mhm.
both.
Those are very strange.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if
Those
those
are
are.
not
them.
the
I don't know if they're
favorites.
favorites, but they definitely
They're memories.
They definitely
Yeah.
stick out as like
Maybe
things
that's,
that happened to us that were super.
maybe that's
weird.
for another interview time.
Well, you might as well just mention one
Yeah,
of
like
them,
the
'cause you already
short,
did.
the short versions are, we were playing a show in Helena, Montana, and there was this guy who'd been buttering us up all night long, and we eventually found out that it was because he was trying to harvest our organs.
An older man, like a very
Yeah,
old man.
like he ended up propositioning my brother, who was the drummer at that time,
Yeah.
and we were all in the van ready to leave.
Yeah.
And yeah, like for real, this is not a joke.
No, this is
I
And
wish
Joe
it
like
was.
beelined it to the van. He was like, "I'm out of here, dude." So that was crazy. It's a longer story than that. And then another time we were playing at this really weird place in Houston
Uh-huh.
called Natsuo, which is Houston spelled backwards.
Oh.
And we played the show, and over top the stage there was this just monstrous conglomeration of antlers.
Okay.
They were all like all stuck together. Oh, I got it. It's
I'm
okay.
gonna be your
Okay,
mic
then
stand.
I'm gonna hold your hand. Is that okay?
No, but I want you to be able to use your
So
hands
anyways,
freely.
while we were playing, we noticed on the wall behind us there were all these like paintings, and I remember thinking that they were probably just famous people that were from Texas or Houston, just because of the way they looked. They were not quite like caricatures, but definitely like illustrative looking.
They were old looking.
Yeah, they were old looking, and everybody was dressed in a certain way, and even one of them was like a cat and a dog. And so, anyways, the show got over, and the owner, who was a very strange individual, like super nice, but just kind of a different guy for sure. He's like, "You guys can just stay here if you want. We're at a party." And so we're like, "Okay, sure." And I started to realize that people had been coming out of the woodworks. I don't even know how they got there. I didn't really see them come in the front door or anything. And I started looking around and realized that all of these people in the paintings on the wall behind us, and there was like over 20 of these things, were dressed in the same manner that they were depicted in the paintings, right down to the cat and dog that were in the venue. So it was really weird. I was
They were all there.
kinda, yeah, they're all there just hanging out. And you know, this went on until like 5:30 or 6 in the morning.
Mhm.
It was very like Twilight Zone.
So now where can people watching this video find you guys, your music, or anything? I know you guys are touring soon a lot.
Yeah, we've got all the usuals: Twitter, Facebook, the MySpace. Actually, we don't have MySpace. That's the one
We need a
don't have.
MySpace.
I hear MySpace is going to.
Can you still get one?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't know.
I've tried to go find
Like
mine.
vintage.
We have a vintage MySpace account. We've got some videos up on YouTube.
Okay. I'll
We
put
have
all the
it.
links below.
Yeah.
Oh,
The,
nice. So
the,
you know.
the
Yeah.
record's not,
Just
our
ask
first
for it.
record's actually not coming out until later this year.
Okay.
So that'll be sometime in the fall. And we've just spent the last couple years kind of just honing what we do, and
Okay.
went through some member changes and got to tour with the Meat Puppets. We did that for the first like year and a half. And have just kind of been waiting for the right time to put it out and taking our time with it, and that's coming up. So we've got a tour coming up in June. We're going to go down south, down to Texas and back, and then we've got a bunch of regional stuff. We'll be playing Cause on July 12th, I believe.
Okay.
And then we've got the Ice House show that we mentioned on the 27th, and then there's, 25th of July. And then there's a really cool block party that's going to happen. It'll be the inaugural Sociable Ciderworks block party in
Okay.
Northeast. And
That's the 27th.
that's on the 27th of July. And
Okay.
there, I think we've got Fort Wilson Ride on the bill,
Nice.
Bomba de Luz, RP Hooks.
Yeah.
And we're also, like I said, putting out the album, and then hopefully within like 6 to 8 months from that, we'll put out the follow-up because we're already over halfway done with the next record.
Sweet. Nice.
That's what happens when you take your time. Take too
Yeah.
much time with the first one.
Well, it is
Stay
good quality
tuned.
product then.
Yeah, we're hoping so.
So. All right, well, I
Think
just
so.
want to thank you guys for sitting down with me.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
Check out Enemy Planes, check out People Local.
Thanks, you guys.